Discover 9 sinister and cursed Headless Valley tales, spine-chilling truths exposed. Jenna's heart pounded in her chest as she drove her beat-up minivan through the quiet streets of Cedar Hollow. Each streetlight flickered like a warning, casting eerie shadows across the asphalt. After a long shift at the diner, exhaustion gnawed at her bones, but the whispered rumors of Headless Valley replayed in her mind like a haunting echo. Everyone said it was cursed, a burial ground for secret fears and lost souls. Somebody's got to put a stop to this, she thought, gripping the wheel tightly, recalling the hushed voices over coffee muttering about figures lurking at the edge of the trees, shadows that seemed to breathe, and children who disappeared after venturing too close. The valley had a sinister reputation, and Jenna could feel it curling around her, wrapping her in a suffocating embrace. As the houses whizzed by, she recalled a neighbor's frantic eyes when they stumbled upon the topic. "I'm telling you, they take children," they had said, shaking with terror. She glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see something creep up behind her. Just a trick of the night, she told herself, unwilling to entertain the dread punching at her gut. But that feeling settled deeper when she learned of Lily's imaginary friend Jack, whispering promises that sent chills up Jenna's spine. Imaginary friends are normal, she told herself, but every time Lily spoke of Jack, her small face lit with joy. Jenna felt an uncomfortable weight settle on her chest. What did this friend want? What could a child's imagination conjure in the wake of sinister tales? She dismissed it, shaking off unease like a chill from the winter air. Yet panic turned real when Ryan didn't come home after sneaking out to explore the valley. His absence turned the cul-de-sac into a trap, suffocating her with dread. Neighbors who once offered friendly waves now exchanged worried glances, their faces pale, like ghosts sliding behind curtains. Jenna's mind raced. What was the truth behind those tales? As she joined the frantic search, the tension in the air thickened, wrapping around her throat like a noose. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with the storm brewing overhead. Jenna felt raw dread amplifying each step as they approached the valley's edge. A gust of wind sent shivers down her spine. What if they found something? She thought, panic clawing at her insides. Unseen eyes seemed to watch from the dense trees, the branches writhing like eager arms ready to pull her into the abyss. Then the laughter echoed distorted and childlike at the back of her mind. Shadows danced closer, their whispers tugging at her resolve. Every twisted tale she heard felt uncomfortably real now, and as a silhouette shifted within the trees, Jenna's heart raced. An unsettling figure loomed twisted, headless. Who can I trust anymore? The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. She took a deep breath, grounding herself, but the valley stretched before her, dark and hungry. Something was waiting, and as the rumble of thunder crashed overhead, she knew they were closer than ever to unraveling a truth best left buried. The shadows seemed to throb with life as Jenna stepped into the murky darkness of Headless Valley, her pulse quickening. Each step echoed with a dread that felt tangible. A heavy silence wrapped around her like a blanket, smothering her. The laughter crept closer, rising and falling like the wind, twisting in a way that sent cold spikes of fear shooting through her veins. "Ryan!" she called, her voice trembling. Nothing answered but the rustle of leaves, taunting her, whispering secrets she was not meant to know. The air thickened, clinging to her skin, and her breaths came out in shallow puffs, each one laced with terror. She could feel that unseen presence now, as if it were just behind her, observing her every move. The branches overhead stretched like gnarled fingers, scratching against the thickening clouds. They looked as if they were reaching for her, pulling her in, urging her to venture deeper. "I won't let this place have me," she vowed, but doubt wormed its way into her mind. She was in the belly of the beast now. Jenna moved further, pushing through the underbrush, as the childlike giggling curled around her, beckoning her. The growing darkness felt like it was alive, pulsating with a malevolent force. What kind of horrors had lurked in this valley? What had happened to the children who never returned? Suddenly, a flash of white in the distance caught her eye, a pale figure darting between trees. Jenna's stomach dropped. "Ryan!" she shouted, adrenaline spurring her forward. But as she sprinted, the shadows seemed to close in, eager to swallow her whole. Rounding a thick oak, she stumbled upon a small clearing. There, in the pale moonlight, stood a circle of old stones, weathered and worn as if they had been there for centuries. Jenna's heart raced even faster. In the center lay a dark stain. Could it be blood? Panic clawed at her throat. She stumbled back, nearly tripping in her haste. Then came the laughter again, this time sharper, more menacing. "Come play with us," rang through the air, echoing in her ears. It was unmistakably Lily's voice, yet distorted, filled with a tune that twisted her gut. Jenna's hair stood on end as the memory of her daughter's glowing face when she spoke of Jack consumed her mind. What had she unleashed upon them? Then, from within the trees, forms began to materialize, emerging from the darkness. Children, their faces ashen, eyes hollow, yet smiling in a way that sent shivers crawling down her spine. They circled Jenna, whispering in unison, join us, join us." Terror rose in her throat like bile. She backed away, heart racing, eyes darting toward the shadows. They were closing in, the laughter growing louder, echoing, drumming against her skull. Marionettes in the hands of a puppeteer, she could feel the valley itself pulling her, beckoning her to join this ghastly game. "Get away from me!" she screamed, but the words seemed to dissolve in the thick air. Clambering back, she noticed the stones pulsing faintly, as if alive, breathing hungry for a sacrifice, and just when Jenna thought it was too late, the clouds parted. A beam of light broke through, illuminating the clearing. The children paused, shadows flickering around their ghostly forms. But in that moment of hope, something snapped. "Run!" A voice strong, commanding boomed from the edge of the woods. Jenna turned, her heart pounding in her ears, and found a figure emerging, a man, drenched and wild-eyed, holding a lantern that flickered defiantly against the darkness. "Get away from them!" he shouted, charging forward. The children shrieked, dissolving into the shadows, and Jenna felt the ground beneath her tremble. What was he talking about? Who was this man? Did he know the truth? But before she could process, the air came alive with movement. The stones surged, and a crack opened beneath her, darkness swallowing everything as Jenna reached out toward the man, her voice barely a whisper. "Who are you?" As she plummeted into the shadows, the last thing she heard was the echo of the laughter, merging with the cries of lost souls, "Forever, forever." What had she just stumbled into? The valley was only the beginning, and she now lay on the cusp of something far more terrifying than she ever imagined. The fall felt endless, as if she were being pulled into the very core of the valley, falling through a dream where time twisted and stretched. Shadows enveloped her, smothering her screams, muffling her panic. Jenna's heart pounded wildly against her ribcage, every thud a desperate call for survival. Flashes of bright light danced before her eyes, merging with dark wisps that beckoned her further down. Finally, she landed hard on a damp, cold surface. Pain shot through her ankle, but she pushed it aside, pushing herself to her feet. Her breath came out in frantic gasps, and the faint smell of decay tickled her nostrils. She squinted through the darkness, trying to make sense of her surroundings. "Ryan!" she managed to croak out, but her voice seemed to die in the oppressive silence. The air hung thick around her, heavy with secrets that thrummed with a pulse of their own. Shadows around her twisted and curled, waiting, her eyes adjusted to the dim light, revealing damp stone walls that glimmered with moisture and reflected ghostly glimmers. The darkness formed shapes, flickering like memories just out of reach. Willing her legs to move, Jenna stumbled forward, calling out for her son, desperation clawing at her throat. "Mommy!" A voice echoed soft, pleading, yet laced with a terrifying echo that sent chills down her spine. A child's voice. "Mommy, help." It was unmistakably Ryan's voice. Her heart leapt at the sound, a fragile ember in the bleakness, and for a moment, hope ignited within her. "Ryan, where are you?" she shouted, pushing through the oppressive stillness, ignoring the sweat trickling down her back. "Follow the laughter," the words whispered through the air, sultry and sinister, wrapping around her like a serpent. She hesitated, an icy dread coiling in her belly. What was waiting in the laughter? But the urge to find Ryan was overpowering. "I'm coming, baby," she screamed, running deeper into the abyss, the darkness pressing down upon her like a weight. The laughter grew louder, teasing her, a cacophony of children's voices intertwining in ways that felt twisted, wrong. The stone corridor opened into a vast room, bathed in an eerie glow. At the center stood an altar stacked with what looked like forgotten toys, dolls with cracked porcelain faces, rusted tricycles, and stuffed animals with missing eyes. All of it was arranged perfectly, as if waiting for someone to come and play. The air crackled with a strange energy, pulsing in sync with Jenna's racing heartbeat, and then she saw him. Ryan stood at the edge of the shadows, pale and ghostly, his eyes wide and unblinking. "Mommy! Don't come near. It's a trap!" he cried, his voice tremoring with urgency, but before she could reach for him, the shadows shifted and roared, forming into a swirling mass. Faces emerged, their features indistinguishable, a meld of lost children, pleas, and laughter intertwining into a bone-chilling lullaby. "Stay and play with us," they sang, voices dripping with temptation. "Get away from him!" Jenna shouted, launching herself forward. She could feel the pull of the darkness, its grip tightening around her. She needed to take Ryan's hand, but he was still trapped. It was like he was melded into the shadows. The atmosphere vibrated with malice as the floor beneath her vibrated ominously, threatening to split apart. In that moment, Jenna saw the truth reflected in Ryan's terrified eyes. "Leave now, Mommy!" he screamed. "You don't know what they want." That was when Jenna realized this was far worse than she could have ever imagined. The laughter was not mere play, it was a warning, a sinister promise of what awaited her if she didn't escape. As she reached for Ryan, the ground began to crack, the darkness shifting into something more sinister. "Mommy!" he cried again, with one last desperate surge. Jenna lunged, but an unseen force clamped around her ankle, dragging her down. She fought, clawing at the ground, her heart racing as Ryan's pleas echoed helplessly. Just then, an explosion of light erupted from the far corner of the room, illuminating a path shrouded in shadows. It pulsed like a beating heart, pulling her attention, whispering secrets that made her blood run cold. With a final scream erupting from the depths of her soul, she flung herself toward that sliver of light. As she fell into darkness, one thought burned fiercely in her mind: could love conquer the sinister allure of the darkness? And as she vanished from the shadowy room, another child's laughter echoed, "You'll never escape what lay beyond that light." Did it hold salvation or another layer of terror hidden within the heart of Headless Valley? Jenna felt herself being pulled, sucked into the blinding light, every fiber of her being responding to its promise. It engulfed her, erasing the darkness, the crying shadows, and the terrified face of her son. As the luminescence faded, she tumbled onto a different surface, softer this time, like grass under her palms. The air was warmer here, but something felt wrong. The scents around her shifted from decay to sweet, almost sickeningly sweet, like overripe fruit. She blinked and pushed herself up, trying to understand where she landed. A park. The vibrant colors screamed life, almost too bright, too cheerful to be real. "Ryan!" she called, panic rising anew. Her breath hitched as echoes of laughter danced around her. Children's voices. They were everywhere, giggling, playing, their joy a haunting melody that sent shivers down her spine. Jenna stood, looking around, scanning the impossibly idyllic scene. Lush trees framed the park, their leaves rustling softly as if sharing secrets. A carousel spun slowly nearby, its paint chipped but the music strangely magnetic, a warped version of a childhood song. But the laughter shifted to whispers, and the whispers to warnings. "Don't play with them," a voice cooed faintly, reminiscent of her own mother. Was this another trap, another manipulation? Heart racing, Jenna stumbled toward the carousel, where more shadows danced, figures darting in and out of view. They were small, just like Ryan. But as she got closer, her heart sank. She saw their faces, eyes wide and hollow, expressions frozen in a mix of joy and despair. Children bound to the ground, moving with the rhythm of the music, but unable to break free. "Mommy!" came Ryan's voice again, clearer now. It sliced through the enchantment, pulling her focus. She turned to see him on the other side of the carousel, standing there, looking so small and lost. "Stay away from them!" She screamed, but it was too late. The laughter swelled, enveloping her, drowning her out. She rushed to Ryan, desperation clawing at her throat. Every inch felt like wading through molasses, the atmosphere thickening. The children on the carousel reached out, their tiny fingers stretching, grasping for her, twisting their mouths into shapes that echoed with the sweet melody of the music. Join us," they chanted, their voices sinking into a frenzied chant as Jenna pushed her way toward Ryan. She reached him just as he turned away, drawn to the carousel like a moth to a flame. "Ryan, don't!" she shouted, grabbing his wrist with trembling fingers. In that moment, the ground trembled, ripping away the vibrant park, revealing the darkness lurking beneath. The laughter became howls, morphing into something darker, more sinister, the sweetness of the air now a rancid stench. "I want to go home," Ryan cried, terror etched on his face. "Then we need to get out of here," Jenna replied firmly, pulling him as the shadows surged in response, trying to clasp around their legs. But the children still reached for them, their bodies flickering like flames. "Stay, play with us forever." Jenna forced herself to turn away from the carousel, dragging Ryan with her, weaving through the grasp of shadows reaching out to claim them. "Where do we go?" he panted, glancing back. "Anywhere but here," Jenna yelled, panic igniting every part of her being. But the park transformed again, twisting into winding paths that led nowhere. Each turn felt wrong, disjointed, with dark laughter echoing behind them as the shadows grew hungrier. Just as Jenna thought they would be lost forever, she saw it, a glimmer in the distance, piercing through the trees like a beacon. "There!" she shouted, dragging Ryan toward it. With every step, the laughter rose, a storm of sinister hilarity crashing down upon them. "You can't escape," they sang. "Don't listen to them," Jenna urged, her heartbeat pounding in her ears, almost drowning out the devastation she felt creeping in. Finally, they reached a clearing, the light flashing around them, an unsteady shimmer. But as she stepped into the brightness, Jenna paused. A sudden realization twisted in her gut. Was this truly salvation, or merely another illusion? The air crackled, and she felt the weight of eyes upon her, watching, waiting. And just beyond the light, the echoes of laughter surrounded them as if mocking her decision. What lay ahead? And was it truly the escape she so desperately sought, or just the beginning of another layer of horror hidden beneath the flickering veil? Jenna stepped cautiously into the bright clearing, the light flickering like a weak bulb ready to burn out. She felt Ryan's hand in her grip, small yet unnaturally cold. The moment they crossed the threshold, the laughter dulled, morphing into a soft, almost serene silence that felt worse than the chaos they had left behind. "What is this place?" Ryan whispered, pulling closer to her. His eyes darted around as if still sensing the shadows. "I don't know, sweetheart." "Just stay close," Jenna murmured, scanning the area. For a moment, the silence felt like a reprieve, a deceptive calm. In the center of the clearing, a beautiful fountain sparkled, the water dancing upwards in delicate arcs. Tiny birds flitted daintily above, chirping a melody that felt bittersweet against the backdrop of their panic. But something in the water's surface beckoned, reflecting not only light but darker shapes, flickers of memories twisted and tied to moments of joy. Suddenly, the laughter returned, louder now. It echoed as if coming from the fountain itself. Jenna stepped back, her instincts screaming at her. Shadows flitted at the edges of her vision, lurking just beyond the trees, their eyes glinting with mischief. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Ryan asked, fear creeping back into his voice. "Nothing. Just don't look at the fountain," she said, her voice shaky. "We need to get out of here." But the ground beneath them shifted, the grass turning spongy, almost alive, as if it too was trying to ensnare them. It gripped her feet, tugging insistently, slowing their escape. Jenna forced her legs to move, dragging Ryan along, but he stumbled, nearly falling. "Ryan!" she shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. As she grabbed him, the world lurched again. The laughter grew louder, now piercing, tearing at the fabric of the moment. Children's faces emerged in the water, dozens of them, mouths twisted in grotesque grins. "Play with us. Forever," they sang, a haunting melody that reverberated in Jenna's mind, digging into her sanity like nails on a chalkboard. "No!" Jenna shouted. "Not my son." She struggled against the tug of the earth, but it tightened, wrapping around her ankles. She looked around desperately for a way out, her heart racing like a wild drum. A path appeared among the trees, a faint trail, rough and uneven, splitting from this accursed clearing. She had a choice: stay and face the beckoning laughter or run toward the uncertain darkness. "Ryan, here." Jenna pulled him away from the fountain, urging him toward the path. The laughter darkened, a cacophony of despair and malevolence clashing against the gentle birdsong. They ran together, but the ground fought her, pushing back, as if the park itself wasn't finished with them yet. "Mommy, I want to go home." Ryan sobbed, panic clawing at his voice. "Me too. Just hold on tight." Jenna cried, barely managing to keep her grip as she stumbled forward. Then, just as they reached the edge of the trees, Jenna felt a tug, an icy grip on her shoulder. She spun, instinctively shielding Ryan. Dark shapes pooled around the edges of the clearing, children's faces dripping with malice, eyes filled with sorrow and envy. Suddenly, she felt a heaviness wash over her, a coldness creeping up her spine. The figures began to drift closer, dulled by the moonlight filtering through the branches above them. "You left us." They wailed in unison, the sound shrill and terrifying, piercing through Jenna's determination. "Stay back!" Jenna yelled, pushing Ryan behind her, heart racing. But the children only giggled, their breath like fog, reaching out, stretching thin fingers wrapped in desperate need. "We just want to play," they said, and in that moment, Jenna knew they were entrapped in the balance between fear and the grotesque charm of youthful delight. She took a step back, the shadows launching themselves forward, and in that instant, Jenna felt something shift. The ground beneath her began to dissolve entirely, the sweet, horrific laughter framing her only escape into a void of uncertainty and fear. "Jump!" she shouted, and together they dove into the shadows, into the unknown. But as they fell, the laughter swelled, finally erupting into a symphony of chaos, like fire consuming the night. What awaited them on the other side of the darkness? Would they emerge unscathed, or had they slipped into a fate worse than the grasp of shadows? The descent into the black void felt endless. Time warped, stretching the moment into a painful eternity as Jenna clutched Ryan's hand, his small fingers trembling like leaves on a stormy day. What was this place? The question burrowed into her mind, each pulse of laughter echoing around them like an ominous reminder of their pursuit. She steeled her resolve, bracing for impact. And then a sudden thud. They landed hard, the ground slightly soft but firm enough to break their fall. Fractions of light pierced through the oppressive darkness, illuminating the twisted forms of gnarled trees and brambles that surrounded them. An air of decay hung thick, clinging to their skin like winter frost. "Mommy?" Ryan's voice trembled, a whisper in the vast silence. The laughter from above had dimmed to a distant murmur. "Where are we?" "I don't know," Jenna said, dread pooling in her gut. "But we need to keep moving." She rose to her feet, scanning their new surroundings. Shadows danced erratically, refusing to reveal any clear path. A chill crept along her spine, igniting a primal fear within her. It felt wrong, this realm. It was as if the very essence of childhood had twisted into something grotesque, perverted. Look! Ryan pointed, his eyes wide, filled with wonder and fear. Ahead lay a path cut through the blackened trees, lined with twisted roots. Faintly, Jenna could hear whispers weaving through the branches like a breeze carrying secrets of lost souls. Let us stay together. No matter what, she insisted, tightening her grip around Ryan's hand. They moved forward, every step resonating in the stillness like the ticking of a clock nearing midnight. Midway down the path, Jenna noticed shapes flickering just outside the reach of what little light dared to linger. Her heart raced when she recognized them, outlines of familiar children, some from the clearing. Their eyes shone bright and hollow, glinting like polished stones, devoid of warmth or life. Join us. One child called, his voice sweet yet chilling. It echoed through her thoughts, planting seeds of temptation that sent shivers skittering across her skin. Don't listen to them, Ryan. Jenna hissed. We have to keep moving. But Ryan had stopped, staring wide-eyed. But they look sad. No. Panic sharpened Jenna's voice, her resolve crumbling. Those are not your friends. They just want to trap you like before. She pulled him along, but the forest responded, vines snaking forth like serpents, eager to ensnare them. The laughter now rippled through the trees, becoming a symphony of grief and despair. No, no, no. Please. Jenna cried, struggling against the encroaching foliage. Mommy. Ryan screamed. He was pulled back, tugged by unseen hands, his eyes filling with tears that shimmered in the darkness. Ryan. She yelled, desperate. She spun, feeling the weight of shadows closing in around her. Beneath her, the ground shifted again, not merely soil but a swirling mass of lost hopes. Faces sprang forth, contorted in sorrow, mouths opening in silent screams. The earth was a canvas of despair, and the children's unity only grew stronger, drawing Ryan deeper. Help us. Help us play. They wailed, voices blending into an eerie harmony that threatened to drown out her sanity. No. Stay away. Jenna's heart thundered in her chest. She reached for Ryan, strapped her resolve to save him, but the hands in the dark grasped at her ankles, a squeezing grip of ice and desperation. Then, in a fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of something shining near the path's end, a light that pulsated like a heartbeat, bright and warm. Ryan! She shouted, her fire igniting once more. Run! To the light! But the darkness screamed, and the children's laughter melded into a single throaty growl. They broke free, Jenna dragging Ryan toward the flickering beacon shimmering in the distance. But just as they lunged forward, the shadows erupted, twisting and tumbling through the air, drawing forth ghosts of forgotten joy. Mommy! Ryan cried as chilling laughter surrounded them, the light dimming, the path distorting. Would they make it, or would they too become whispers lost among the branches? As the last shred of brightness flickered, Jenna felt a strangling fear wash over her. What secrets awaited them at the end of this cursed path? The air thickened with tension, each breath an invasion of the stench of decay that clung to Jenna and Ryan as they sprinted toward the fading light. The laughter, now a cacophony of frantic whispers, echoed all around them, dark tendrils snaking through the branches as if ready to snatch them back into the shadows. Keep going, Ryan. Don't look back. Jenna shouted, her heart pounding against her ribs. She felt his tiny grip slipping, each frantic step on the crooked path pulling them close to a dark void, where whispers of lost childhood memories clawed at her sanity. Behind her, the shadows withdrew, as if they were a creature retracting into itself, momentarily hesitant to let go of its prey. But it was a game that held no mercy, built on the twisted laughter of the forsaken children who had long since entered the realm of despair. It wrapped itself around them, taunting and relentless. Mommy, I can't. Ryan's voice broke through her focused panic. He stumbled again, his small feet tangling in the treacherous roots. The fear in his eyes mirrored her own. Yes, you can. Just a little further. Jenna urged, looking ahead to the light, which flickered and waned under the weight of shadows trying to extinguish it. The light pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, but with each flutter, she felt a pang of dread. What if it was a trap? What if it led them straight into the clutches of despair? They lunged forward again, feet pounding against the soil that felt like it squirmed beneath them, alive with the sorrow of the lost. Just as Jenna felt hope blooming, a shift occurred. The ground cracked open before their very eyes, jagged edges unveiling remnants of what once were, bones, fragments of childhood toys, and remnants of playful laughter now turned into mournful cries. The sight dropped a cold weight into Jenna's stomach. The faces of the children hovered around the edges of her vision, eyes wide and pleading for some unknown salvation. Play with us. They cried, their voices dripping with sweetness that curdled into dread. Join us. Forever. Keep moving. Jenna commanded through gritted teeth, biting back the wave of fear crashing down upon her. She could hear the smooth rustle of the leaves, the deepening laughter that reverberated in her bones, beckoning her to succumb, to lose herself. Yet she resisted, driven by an instinct forged through maternal love. Mommy! Ryan screamed as the darkness lashed out, vines and cold, wretched hands trying to claw at his shirt, claw at his soul. The child whipped beneath her hold like a desperate animal, tears streaming down his terrified face. Jenna felt the grip of despair wrap around her heart like a vice, squeezing tighter. The bright pulse ahead flickered again, the last glimmer of hope. Run! Jenna yelled, her voice cracking. With every ounce of determination, she surged forward, dragging Ryan with her, hoping against all hope that the light wasn't another illusion, but the shadows roared, a violent wave of darkness erupted behind them. The children's laughter now morphed into guttural howls, shrieks of joy turned to loathsome frustration. Jenna shot a glance over her shoulder. The shadows twisted and tore at the very fabric of the world behind them, writhing like serpents hungry for flesh. Panic swallowed her words. In one instant, as they neared the heart of the light, it flickered violently. Jenna stumbled, pulling Ryan to her chest, shielding him. The world was collapsing. Darkness threatened to reclaim them, ensnaring them just as they found what they desperately sought. She thought of giving in. What if joining the children meant freedom from this horror? The thought sent a shiver racing through her bloodstream, but it was a temptation she could not afford to embrace. Just as they reached the threshold of the light, it flared brilliant and encompassing, blinding her momentarily. Was there salvation here? Mommy! Help! Ryan's voice pierced through the haze of the light, but all at once, the warm glow morphed into an oppressive storm, crashing down and enveloping them. Then everything went dark. In the silence that followed, Jenna's heart raced with a new terror. Was this it? Had they lost? Or was there something beyond this darkness? As her breathing slowed, she wrestled to shake the weight off her chest. This was far from over. What lay in wait beyond the murky void? Jenna gasped, air rushing back into her lungs as her vision cleared from the blinding white. She felt a chilling emptiness surround her, the energy of the light now replaced with a damp, earthen scent that clawed at the edges of her sanity. Where were they? Ryan! She called, her voice echoing in the void, swallowed by an eerie silence. The kid had vanished, just like the light. Panic gripped her heart, squeezing with icy tendrils. She pivoted, frantic, every sense heightened. Mommy! A whimper blossomed from somewhere beyond, fragile and hopeless. It shattered the silence. Jenna turned, taking a step toward the sound, but with it, an instinct screamed for her to stop. Her surroundings began to solidify. Dark, twisted shapes rose from the ground like fingers reaching up from the underworld. Vague outlines of trees, their branches clawing at the dim sky, framed the clearing she found herself in. An abandoned playground stood rusting nearby, the swing sets creaking as if urged by a phantom wind, swaying back and forth in a rhythm that felt too alive, too playful. Ryan! Where are you? Her voice grew louder, breaking the stillness with each syllable. Jenna pressed forward, desperate to find him, fear flooding her mind with chaotic thoughts. What if he was taken? What if the shadows had him? The oppressive air weighed down her resolve, thick with malevolence. Help me. Ryan's voice again, a tremor wrapped around each word. It was close. Jenna sprinted toward the playground, each step heavy with dread. The swing soon came into view, empty and swaying. Sliding down the metal slide, she felt a strange chill tickle her spine, urging her to turn back. The small chill spiraled into a gnawing unease. Ryan. I'm coming. Her voice cracked. She pressed on past the swings, pushing through the dense air thick with promises of despair, desperately searching every shadow. A flash of movement caught her eye. Something darted between the trees. Jenna paused, breath caught in her throat. She steadied herself, squinting against the dark as figures began to emerge from the shadows. They were children, but their faces twisted with sorrow and longing, eyes sunken and emitting a dull glow. Play with us. They chanted in an eerie chorus, their voices overlapping in a dissonant melody that sent a shiver coursing through Jenna. No, I want tea. She cried, shaking her head firmly, backing away as they advanced, fearless amid the suffocating air. Panic like ice flooded her chest. The children's laughter morphed into a haunting wail, echoing through the trees and around her. Join us. Forever. Jenna's instincts kicked in, she spun around, searching frantically. Ryan. Her voice was a lifeline in the suffocating darkness. Mommy. It was clearer now, closer. She plunged deeper into the playground, heart racing. The ground beneath her footfalls morphed from dry earth to a soft, yielding surface that began to suck her down. Keep moving. The children encircled her, their voices like knives, sharp and cutting. Jenna fought. Every ounce of her being screamed survival, refusing to be swallowed by the encroaching shadows and drawn into the cycle of despair. Mommy, please. Ryan's voice sounded fragile, like a paper lantern on the verge of being extinguished. She spotted him, a blur of terrified eyes and trembling hands, stuck behind a vine of darkness that twisted like something alive. Hold on, baby. I'm coming. As Jenna pushed forward, the children's laughter crescendoed, an echoing storm that threatened to break her apart. She was losing her grip on reality, visions of twisted spirits swirling in her mind, ensnaring her thoughts. Just as she reached for Ryan, the air crackled, a surge of energy rippling between them. The shadows bellowed, deep and resonating, rage flowing from them like a tide. Jenna felt the ground crack beneath her, fear gripped her tighter than the hands of the lost children. Mommy! Ryan yelled as a vine of darkness shot out, snatching one of the phantoms from their chaotic circle and dragging it back into the void. Run! She screamed. But where? What was the way out? The darkness was thickening, the playground morphing into a living nightmare. Jenna's mind churned with fear and determination as she lunged toward Ryan. They were trapped, but not yet lost. Yet, deep down, she felt the question blooming: if escape was possible at all, how can one outrun the past when shadows chase you relentlessly? Ryan! Jenna screamed again, desperation clawing at her throat. Each syllable echoed like a gunshot in the inky void. The shadows were tightening their grip, whispering promises of eternal play, but she had no intention of staying. She dashed toward her son, the hollow laughter of the children ringing in her ears, a twisted serenade driving her forward. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the upset stillness of the playground as she saw two spirits occupying one side, their hair hanging like shadows, eyes locked on Jenna with a predatory hunger. Stopping briefly, she felt a dreadful pull of their gaze. Leave us alone! She shouted. Instinctively, she raised her hands, fingers trembling with defiance. Just beyond the seesaw, the darkness shimmered and shifted, revealing a path that seemed to lead deeper into the twisted woods. A glimmer of hope sparked within her. Fast, Jenna! Don't lose him now! But as she turned, the air thickened, a cold miasma that gripped her lungs and muddled her thoughts. The children surged closer, their ghostly hands outstretched like hollow branches, their mouths stretching into eerie, fixed smiles. "Stay and play. Let us be a family, not a chance," she cried, forcing her feet to obey. She weaved through the haunting figures, feeling their icy breath wrap around her. The feeling was intoxicating, inviting her to join their spectral game. "Mommy." Ryan's voice trembled through the haze. It was softer now, like a distant whisper carried by a breeze. Jenna fought against the allure of the shadows, desperate to hone in on her son's calls. She pressed on, sprinting toward the shadows as a wave of darkness crashed to either side, swirling and writhing. And then she saw him again, the vulnerability in Ryan's wide, frightened eyes. "Don't move," she yelled, but the shadows shifted closer, yanking at her heels as Jenna lunged forward, arms outstretched. A vine lashed out, catching her wrist like a snake, its cold grip sending waves of panic surging through her. "Mommy!" Ryan screamed, his hands thrashing against the dark tendrils. It was as if the playground itself wanted to envelop them, to turn their nightmare into a chilling game. With a savage jerk, Jenna pulled free from the vine's grasp, the pain tearing through her resolve. The dark wisps clawed at her, desperate to bring her down, but she wouldn't allow it. She couldn't. She felt a determination swell within her. Any cost, she would protect her child. "Come on, Ryan," she yelled, urging him to break free of the smothering shadows. The air crackled once more, an unseen electric charge igniting between them. "Hold my hand." He reached out just as Jenna lunged forward, their fingers brushing against one another. But the moment they connected, a violent shudder rippled through the ground, the shadows convulsing as if enraged by their connection. "Mommy." His small hand felt fragile against the onslaught of darkness. Then, silence fell, a dreadful stillness that seemed to stretch endlessly. Jenna's heart hammered in her chest as she felt a weight settle heavily in the air. The children paused, their wicked laughter replaced by a quiet anticipation, a shared stillness that promised something was about to happen, and then it came. A deep, resonant voice echoed through the trees, vibrating down to her bones. "You cannot defy the bonds of this place. Children belong in shadows." Jenna felt the strength of the shadows surge, energy flickered, crackling like fire. "No. I am not leaving my son." She spat defiantly, bracing herself against the unseen forces converging upon her. But the voice lingered, insidiously. "You will join us, one way or another." The air chilled, the silhouettes closing in, ready to seize their prize. Desperation ignited her instincts. Jenna pushed against the darkness, eyes fixed on Ryan. "We'll find a way. We must. There has to be a way out." A flicker of light emerged in the distance, a distant shimmer that cut through the suffocating gloom. Something primal within her stirred, forcing down the fear that threatened to engulf her. They had to reach it. "Follow me," she ordered, heart racing as she started to run, dragging Ryan along. Yet there was no telling what awaited them in that strange, beckoning light. What would be waiting on the other side? Gripping dread nipped at Jenna's heels, urging her to question if the light was salvation or just another trap. "Run!" she gasped. But could they truly escape, or was this just a new layer of their nightmare? The frantic darkness closed in around them as Jenna sprinted forward, heart thudding loud and fierce. Every second felt like an eternity, the laughter of the forsaken children ringing in her ears as she pulled Ryan along. The flickering light ahead sparkled with a promise, hope, safety, a thin whisper of salvation. "Mommy, I can't keep going." Ryan's small voice choked through sobs, his tiny legs wobbling beneath him. "Yes, you can," she urged, the desperation fueling her strength. "We're almost there." She tightened her grip, felt the warmth of his hand, a tether anchoring her to sanity. The shadows swirled around them, whispers grew louder, a sickening chorus pleading for them to turn back, join the game forever. Yet Jenna plunged ahead, heedless of the darkness clawing at her heels, a solid wall of determination forged in love. The space between the light and shadow felt charged alive with a force that made her skin prickle. A small burst of courage ignited her heart, snapping through her growing fears. "Come on!" she shouted with everything she had left, sprinting for the light. Suddenly, the shadows hissed, as if the very earth cried in warning. "You cannot escape," they snarled, but Jenna pressed on, the light swelling in brightness, wrapping her and Ryan in safety. As they leaped toward it, the sensation enveloped them, a warmth that felt almost like an embrace. And just as they stepped over the threshold, the shadows lunged, cold fingers reaching for their backs. "Run! Now!" Jenna called out, leaping forward just as the darkness recoiled, claws snapping inches away. They tumbled into the glow, feeling it wash over them like a warm tide sweeping away the chill of fear. When the world righted itself, Jenna found herself back in Cedar Hollow, standing in the park she had grown up in. Bright sunlight flooded the space, casting playful shadows among the trees. Colorful flowers swayed lightly in the gentle breeze. "Ryan?" she gasped, heart hammering, scanning the area for her son. "Mommy!" a voice rang out, pure and joyful. Jenna turned to find Ryan running toward her, his face alight with laughter, free, untainted. He embraced her tightly, a soothing balm to her aching heart. She held him fiercely, tears streaming down her cheeks, relief flooding every atom in her body. "What just happened?" she whispered, pulling back to look into his innocent eyes. They glimmered with vibrant life, the shadows of the past finally fading from view. "Something scary," he replied, but there was no tremor in his voice, no trace of fear. "But you saved me." Jenna stroked his hair, breathing heavily as the weight of what they escaped began to lift. "Yes, I did. We're back home now," she confirmed, holding him closer, braver than she'd ever felt, lighter than air. They walked back to their minivan, hand in hand, a sense of normalcy settled over them. There would be healing to do, scars to address, but they would do it together. The laughter of children echoed around them in the sunlight, casting playful shadows. They turned to face the woods of Headless Valley looming in the distance, remnants of nightmares still whispering among the trees. But Jenna felt a newfound strength pulse within her. The shadows no longer held power over her family. They had broken free, and with every step away from that cursed land, the air grew lighter. Together, they would heal, step by step, breath by breath. Jenna looked up, a small smile breaking through her tears. "I love you, Ryan. Always." "I love you too, Mommy," he replied, grinning as they finally drove away, the sun rising high, dispelling darkness and fear for good. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a final flicker caught Jenna's eye, a solitary figure, headless, fading back into the trees, lost in time once more. The battle was won, but she would never forget the valley's secrets. She shuddered, but this time the shiver came with a sense of closure. They would carry on, together, leaving the eerie past beneath their wheels. And as they entered their new life, a soft wind rustled through the trees, a final echo of laughter fading into memory. Don't you dare leave without taking action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.